I had planned to be on here 5 minutes early to say hello to everybody, not anticipating more issues with Zoom. So we got an interesting program today. We'll need our wall. We'll need our block or our decorator pillows, a strap, and our bodies. Well, what do you know? So first thing we'll do is check our posture. I haven't been checking balance lately, and I decided against it in case somebody took a spill. Then that would become partially my responsibility. But if you want to do it without me, you can always lift one leg. This is stork stand like this. Just make sure you're hanging onto something. You have something close. It'll just tell you if you're wobbling or not. So let's start with standing and checking our left foot. We're going to check the weight on our feet, and that's the toes, the ball of the foot, the heel, the inside and the outside, and just see where that weight is. Now we're going to check the other foot, right foot, toes, ball of the foot, heel, inside or outside, and see if it's even. At the end, we'll check again. And what we're looking for is more balance between the toes all the way to the heel without the weight on either side. Now, sometimes when you start, you will have weight on one side or the other. And what if you finish like that? Well, that means that area didn't change, but it also maybe, what if it's better? Then you know you've made a change. Maybe you're not perfect yet, but you've made that change. And now we're going to look for, are we standing heavier on one side as opposed to the other? And when you stand up to check your posture, don't force yourself upright like that. Just kind of stand, relax your shoulders, palms facing the outside of your legs, and just see where everything ends up. Okay, so I'm going to give my disclaimer that if your medical team or your healthcare team has advised against exercise, please do not participate in this class until you've spoken with them. And I will not be responsible if you go forward because this disclaimer has told you not to. So now we're going to start our exercise. And I thought what I'd do today is I'd end on a nicer note and not try to kill us at the end. But at the same time, I'll give you a little idea of what we're looking at today. We're going to look at getting the shoulders and the hips to move in a better range of motion. But we're also going to we're going to reduce rotation also in this particular class. And I'll be happy to tell you what exercises as we go along, what we're using to reduce rotation. Some of us are rotated down here, some are rotated up here, and some are rotated both. And they don't have to be going, one side could be going, I'm exaggerating, and like this, or maybe everything is this way, or back like that. But that's what we're looking to do. Rotation usually means ouch, back pain. So let's start with our shoulders. Let's do our feet facing forward, hip width apart, which is approximately 6 inches. And we're just going to relax our shoulders down, relax our tummy. Don't let your tummy come to the party and try to do any work. Doesn't have to work right now. We have some plans for it later. And you're going to put your hands so that they're facing the outside of your thighs. And you're going to roll forward. Now, when you roll forward, you're going to pull down, pull those shoulder blades back, and then come up. If you're someone that you know for a fact that you're trap dominant, you will be able to, oh, look who's here. You're going to be able to find out real quick, because people that are trap dominant, you're going to try to use your shoulder like this. So what you're going to do is in the 6 inches apart, hip width apart, you're going to relax your shoulders. Don't start this because that's where you'll do it. You're going to pull, just relax down and roll forward. We're going to roll forward 10 times. 10 forward, and do not use your elbows. And some of us, when our shoulders are not working right, we have a tendency to do this, and it really becomes really obvious in gait assessments, because people will walk like this, you know, and I know right away, okay, we got shoulder work to do today, but makes me look like I'm smart. I'm not. Somebody caught it on me, and that's how I learned it. So we're going to go forward. Now let's go backwards, pulling up, down, and around, up, down, and around. And are you getting any snap, crackle, and pop? And some people will tell me that after their bodies start changing, they'll actually hear more crackling going on. And I don't know the answer to that. I know in my own personal experience, when I've heard more for a while, later on it'll dissipate, but when things start moving again, you can hear, because the body lays all that tissue down and you can hear it. Now what we're going to do, because we're going to do a little superset, keeping that hip position, feet straight ahead. You don't want one foot turned out. We do have some people in the class that like to turn their feet out, and it's really coming out of the hips. So it's very important. The shoulders are married to the hips. We're still working on the shoulders, but the hips are working with us. So you want those feet straight ahead. You're going to make a fist. This is called the golfer's grip or a fist. You want your fingertips digging into your palms. You're going to place your second and third index finger in your temples. We have some new people. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm not turning like this. I'm like this. And when you're turned like this, you're going to find your range of motion is going to be a lot less. So if you're cranking along like this and thinking, man, I'm getting better, look at this, but then you find out your hands have moved, return them back to the correct position. So we're going to do 10 of these, just like this. When you dig the fingers into the palms, you can feel your forearms start to engage. And what we're trying to do is stretch some of this stuff out. So we're going to do 10, just like this. You could feel the work in your low back. You could feel it in your shoulders, your neck. It's just wherever you're tight and whatever it's affecting. Okay, hands back down. Now we're going to roll forward, shoulder rolls 10 times, keeping those elbows straight. If you're really having a trouble with the elbows staying straight, then lock them out. Because once you lock them out, then you can feel, oh, well, that's all that's working right now is my poor little shoulders. And a lot of us have tech's neck and desk jockey neck and driving neck, where we're always forward like this. Well, it's this area we're working on right back here that has a big effect on those shoulders and, on the neck, because when the shoulders are in lockdown, the head gets locked down. Feet straight ahead, now back 10 times. I can tell you, I'm locking my elbows out and I can feel my shoulders are working a lot harder. Again, if you're somebody who is trap dominant, try not to let that side be lifted up by that trap muscle here. If you're one of those people that gets a lot of neck tension and people say when they touch you, they're, oh my God, you're hard as a rock, more than likely you're using your traps too much. Okay, fist, dig the fingertips into the palms, thumbs down, 10 elbow curls, check the feet. Sure enough, my left hip tried to turn out my right foot, so it's back where it belongs. Relax the stomach. Keep the thumbs pointed down and off the cheek. It's real easy to balance that thumb on the cheek, and that really does change how we recruit. Yesterday, I noticed I woke up with a stiff neck, and I had trouble turning, and sometimes when I bench press, that'll happen. And the first thing I thought of was do shoulder, the elbow curls, because for some reason that'll pull that shoulder off of all those nerves. So that's a little friendly tip. So now we are going to do the kneeling groin stretch. If you found when I demonstrated Friday, You found that you could do it better standing like this. It's the same cueing, really. This is standing. You can stay up on that back foot. And of course, you want to go into a lunge and push back. And you'll feel a lot of activity in there. You can also do this on your knees. And I always recommend doing the tight side last if you know which one is the tight side. Also, if you have an unstable side where you know that when this one particular leg is back, you wiggle a lot because the back leg is stabilizing us. You might try putting that back leg last and see, because you want to be able to really get it to work. Or you may find too, putting it first, you feel like you have more control. Postural therapy is about learning about your body and being able to help yourself. So when you do this, you're going to drop in, and you'll see how I drop in here, and then I'm pushing myself back. Now, some of us are going to feel like we maybe don't have the stability in the hips yet, and maybe it's only on one side. Then get something alongside of you so that you feel like you've got a little more balance, because you've got something here as of putting everything on here. But you want to remember to keep the front of the body straight. Yes, there's certain hip flexor ones that we turn, but it's not this one that we're doing today. So we're going to stay here for 1 minute. If you find that this is hard for you, I would suggest counting. And then if you find that, okay, you're done in 30 or 45 seconds, go ahead and remember when you do the other side to do the same amount of time. So let's start. Let's drop in, chest forward, and pushing back like this. Now, because the hip flexors are in a partnership, so to speak, with the glutes, when we push like this, you may be feeling a lot of work back there. I'm going to caution you that if you're feeling too much work, then lessen the angle down here. Don't take it into the point where all you're thinking about is, oh my God, I've got all this back pain. You don't want to go there. We want to stretch this. We don't want to fire up your back. And some of us are built in a way where we have a posture we have a stronger lumbar curve than some of our other classmates here. Then you may not want to push as hard like that, because it'll fire up your low back and get it to start working when really we're not trying to work it. Okay, come out of that if you need to. Put your hand on something to balance yourself. And I've intended to put this over here, but I saw when I started that I had to keep it behind me so you guys could see me. Now we're going to go the other side. Again, this is just like a lunge. You line up the knee with the ankle, hands together, look down, make sure you're not turning, and you drop in like this. We'll be here again, either for 1 minute, or maybe you can only do it for 30 or 45 seconds. Absolutely no shame in that. I've told you guys this a million times, when I started this, I was lucky if I could get 15 seconds, and it took me some time. The reason that I am insistent upon moving these hip flexors every time is because more and more, and especially since people went into lockdown, I'm seeing a lot more really strange things come in the door that are attached to a tight hip flexor, and not always both sides. So I decided, if I'm going to treat you a certain way when you come in the door and really examine those hip flexors, then I'm going to do it in this class too. You have the option of not doing it, and that's fine. Okay, relax and come out of it, but it's there for a reason. My studies and my experience has taught me that the hip flexors and the inner thigh, the adductors, are terrorizing us. a lot, and I see and hear a lot of things that make me even more aware that we need to pay attention to that. So what we're going to do now is, you know how I like to get the body ready to go into a position that may be more challenging, and maybe if we put you in that position straight up, it may not be the right thing, but if we introduce it and allow your body to work into it, you may do very well. So what we're going to start with is we're going to do knee drops. And I'm going to tell you with these knee drops, you can do 20 or 30 of them. I'll give you the time. If you're going to go into 30, what they're going to do is they're going to relax those. They're going to stretch the outside and the inside of the leg. It's also going to start moving the hip joint in the ball and socket like a trailer hitch. And we want to get all that stuff in there moving and loosened up so we can go into the next position. So when you do knee drops, you're going to put your hands up. No, let's put them down. Let's put them down because that changes the shoulder position a little bit. And we're going to spread the legs far enough, not like here. Normally that would be hip width. We're going to go out here. And when you do it, you're going to rotate your body, say, to the left and turn your head to the right. And you're going to do it at a nice pace, just like this. And I kind of let it, I don't slam it down. I let it drop down on its own. I don't believe in bouncing, because bouncing causes tears. And both ways, I've taught you to do it without moving your head. And today we're moving the head, and I'm sure you can feel when we move the head, we're stretching a muscle that goes from the neck all the way down to your tail. It's called the multifidus. And that's a huge stabilizer for us. Those of you that know bodybuilding, the lower end of the multifidus, they call it the Christmas tree muscle. And you're just going to go back and forth and let those hips just kind of sway like a willow tree, back and forth like that. And you're going to feel a lot of things. You know, you're still stretching the hip flexor a little bit, but you're also moving the inside and the outside of the leg while you're moving those hip joints. And the next exercise, I'm sure you know, we're going to do something to your hips, or I wouldn't be getting you ready with this. And one of the things we like to do in postural therapy, especially if someone's really tight and you see they can't make the move, but you just, if you get them there slowly, they will. We like to get the body ready to say, okay, I can do this. And it may take a number of attempts, but you can get it there. So getting everything ready to move is as important as the movement itself. And I hope you're all enjoying the beautiful weather. It's great for developing immunity, getting outside, taking in fresh air. Something you can do if you go on walks is do 10 of those deep breaths that we do in class, where you to the below your belly button and really get your lungs to expand. Something I've noticed, and I saw this in myself first, was I would wake up sometimes really tired, and I started to realize that some of the fatigue was lack of oxygen. So I'd do some breathing. By golly, I forget all about being tired. So you could do that during the day too. You're feeling a little bit sluggish and sleepy. There's usually two culprits: oxygen, or you eat something that maybe your body doesn't agree with and it makes you tired. That's a whole nother story about foods making you tired. And just keep moving like that and stretching. I don't even know how many I've done, But I can tell you, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing, is you're probably noticing that things are kind of loosening up. It's easier to move those legs and turn that head. Just like this. And when you're done, just relax. You could go into hook lying position. And this is hook lying, only palms are up with hook lying, and you can go ahead and come up. When you do come up, if you're someone that does have back issues, always go to the side and push yourself up. When you pull up with the stomach, and especially if you don't have really strong stomach muscles, you're liable to engage your spine, which then it contracts and it starts to give you a hard time. So now, some of you probably know what's coming. I thought we would do the diva pose today, and I'll demo it. The minimal amount of work is going to come by keeping the legs close to each other. In other words, the one that's on the floor like this with the side, you put your foot along the side of your knee and your inner thigh. The other foot, the more that you come out this way, the more you're going to have to work at stretching. And when you come in here, I mean, some of us have to start here. This is where we start because this is all we can do. What we're doing is we're looking to get these hips level. We're working on what's called lateral rotation. So this side, I can usually manage about out to here myself, but some days when I'm really tight, I have to stay back here, and I'm not in a contest, and neither are you. So you're going to put your hands behind you, and you're going to look down and try to think of one line between your nose all the way down to your groin here. And you don't want to be turned like this or like this. You want to be straight up. And if you can, roll your pelvis forward as much as you can. And that's roll forward. And you'll see it makes me look like I'm sitting up and sitting straight, but I'm not. I did it all by moving my pelvis. And we're going to hang here for 1 minute. So go ahead and start. If this is too much and at the 30-second mark, you're like, uh-oh, I don't think I can do with this anymore, then just stop, be counting so you can do the same number on the opposite side too. We like to keep things in balance. Normally with postural work, if you were to come in and say we were doing certain exercises and one side was tighter than the other, we would go back to that tight side and maybe do it a couple of times to see if we can get it to get a little bit more even with the other side. And so when you find like exercises like this is a challenging exercise. You know, you may have to dial it down a little bit on one side in order to get the other side up to speed, and that's fine. Sometimes I'll tell you, make the weak side catch up with the strong side. Not today. Today, you want to dial it down to where you can do it. You can come out of the move now. And this one's a little bit more challenging. Now, let's say that you just did your easy side and now you're on your tight side and you're like, oops, I didn't know this was so tight. Do the best you can to have some kind of symmetry. If you can't, and what I mean by that is maybe you had your leg out here on the other one and you can't go that far, just do what you can. And remember, next time you'll probably do this twice. So you're going to roll that pelvis forward again. Make sure you're straight ahead, rolling that pelvis forward. I have about, I would say 20% weight on the backs of my hands, which are behind me. If I had to, I could do this. And I think a lot of us in this class could do it that way too, because we've developed a lot of strength in our it's called the posterior chain, which is our back. And we've developed a lot of strength in that area in this class. I had a comment from a newbie that also saw me privately. And the comment that came to me was, I'm stronger. And I thought that's pretty darn observant. These exercises that you're doing will make you stronger because you're getting everything in balance. And so when your brain is signaled, hey, I need some work output. Everybody is up and working because we've taken out some of the, go ahead and stop. We've taken out some of the imbalances. And now we're operating with, all hands on deck, so to speak. Everything's working. So what we're going to do now is, I don't teach this too often, but I did tell you that we would do rotation and we're going to do the wall. My wall is a little bit short, so you can't, I'm going to demonstrate it properly, but I don't have a full wall behind me. So for any of you that don't have that full wall, you'll see how to cheat like I do. And what you're going to do, like I have this small section here, this is called the triangle. And this particular, let me see if it's better here. Now you can see me better here. This has been known to be called one of the most brutal exercises we do. And it's only because it's challenging our rotation. And do the best you can. And what you're going to do, I don't have a real wide foot spread, and I did that purposely. You're going to turn your foot out like a ballet dancer. But before you do anything, I want you to turn that foot out, stay against this wall, and try to get your tail to be even on both sides. We want your tail on both sides of that wall. That is the goal. There's two goals in this. One, to make it through it. And the second one, second and third, is to lock out the outside leg and to keep your bottom cheeks against the wall. Keeping those cheeks against the wall will be very, very hard. And generally, I've found it's harder on one side than the other. If anything we're doing is causing you pain and the pain is escalating, stop the exercise. It's the wrong exercise for you. And if you're one of those people, please shoot me an email and I'll make sure I teach a substitute with this. So what you're going to do on this is you're going to go like this. And you see I have my arms out. And this is actually a yoga pose. And I'm going to look this way. If I had a wall against me, I'd have both fingers against the wall. But I'm really and truly concerned about my bottom being against the wall. That's what's important to me, is that I've got both those bottom cheeks against the wall. That's how you know you're getting the exercise right. If you can't last 1 minute, don't. But remember what you do on the next side. So go into position, let yourself drop down. Now I want you to press this outside leg. Try to keep your weight on it. You're going to lock out both legs, but you're going to put a lot of weight on this leg here, the outside leg, while you're keeping those bottom cheeks against the wall. And this is not easy. I've taught this a lot of years, and I've had to do it a lot of years. It's in my, I have a file of programs that I use for my structure, and it's in there. And today when I woke up, I had this funny feeling in my back. And right away I thought, oh, I'm going to have to do the triangle. And I thought, well, I'm teaching it. And I thought, no, I'm going to get rid of this feeling before I teach anything. So I went and did about 30 seconds each on each side of the triangle to get, because I knew I was rotated. I could feel how my back felt. Okay, come up, relax for a minute. You're going to change your position. 1 foot straight, one is turned out like a ballerina. And when you drop down, now you might notice before we go into position, just notice, is it harder to put that bottom cheek, that outside bottom cheek against the wall? Like the other one, you might have just slipped right into position. But maybe this one, you're like, oops, this is a lot harder than I thought. Or it may have been that way with the first one. So you're going to make sure your cheeks are, I don't care about the upper back. What we care about is the bottom. And you're going to put both bottom cheeks against the wall. You're going to turn, just like, not turn, but you're going to just flex, lateral flex to the side. Lock out that outside leg. Pretend like you're putting all your weight on it. You'll feel the stretch increase when you do that. And keep both those bottom cheeks. Now, I have trouble in this position. So what I found, if I turn my neck a little bit to the right, I'm able to get that cheek against the wall easier. So that's just a little trick. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I never learned it in class. I don't know if it's cheating, but I know it works. And I can get both those cheeks against the wall. Palms facing the wall. Turn if that helps you. Put lots of weight on that outside leg. And you'll feel as you put that weight on that leg, come up, you'll feel the stretch increase. Very good. I know that's a tough one. I have heard that from all of you. Now, that little funny sensation that I had in my back this morning, once I did that 1 and 1, it feels much better than before a few minutes ago. Plus, I was really tight when I went to that last movement. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get on the floor. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do pelvic tilts. And the reason I'm giving you pelvic tilts and not cats and dogs is because we're going to go into a position that is very similar to cats and dogs. And I don't want to wear you out on those arms if you're new to class. So this is hook lying. Hook lying is arms 45 degrees from the body, palms facing up. You've all heard me say this before. I'll say it again. I think I say it to myself. I want all 5 fingers on the floor. Some of you are going to be rolled up a little bit, and you're going to have a really tough time moving those fingers all the way to the floor. That's telling us what's going on in the shoulder and what kind of tension is happening in these forearms and biceps. So this is hook lying. And when you do pelvic tilts, you're just going to roll your pelvis forward, which is an anterior tilt. Now we're going to pull it into a posterior tilt, which is back. So you're making the movement here with the pelvis, but you're probably noticing that your spine is coming off the floor. And some of you who've been doing this class for a while, you're going to notice your spine's coming off the floor a lot more than it used to. And with the last 3 exercises that we just did, you're probably going to even get a little bit more range of motion, which is great. That's what we're here to do. Because anytime this area in the pelvis is in lockdown, it's going to translate to low back pain, and you're going to feel like you're restricted, then your hamstrings are going to hurt. And it's because we don't have the ability to move our pelvis, which is to flex and extend. And there's a lot of things that can happen because of that. You could end up with tight calves, and you can end up maybe with some Achilles issues, and we can trace it all back into these glute and pelvis areas and not working and functioning properly. So just do about 10 or 15 of these and just roll back and forth. Just like if you were rolling a volleyball. Okay, when you're done, just relax for a minute. Take a deep breath into the low belly. And blow it out. All the statistics and studies indicate that keeping your mouth closed during deep breathing, even during running, and breathing strictly out of the nose makes you more oxygen efficient. And I know a lot of distance runners that do this, and they detrained for a few weeks until their body became more efficient. So I really discourage people from, doing mouth breathing unless, of course, you're not able to breathe through your nose. So now we don't do this one real often, but what we're doing is we want to reestablish the lumbar curve, and we also want to engage the shoulders and also the hips at the same time. Looks like somebody got bumped off. There we go. So this is called static extension position. And what I'm going to have you do today, we're going to have a little fun. We're going to put a block or several pillows between us. I'm going to wiggle back so you can see me better. So you can see this is here. I'm in a tabletop position. But what I'm going to do is walk my hands forward 6 inches. Now, some of us have very short arms. And so 6 inches might be too far, or you might be feeling too much low back work. So we start here, walk out, then you drop in, locking out your elbows, drop in. Make sure the microphone. Drop in to the shoulders, pull the shoulder blades together. You're going to drop your head and let your back arch, just like this. Now, I've seen some people all the way out here and do that, and that's fine. That may work for them. For me, I start getting too much back work going on, so I go about half that distance. So you don't want to do this. This will ruin the move. You want to lock out the elbows, roll forward. And what you're going to do is you're going to let your head drop like this while you pull your shoulder blades together. What that's going to do is it's going to give you a heck of a good neck stretch while you're engaging the very muscles that are weak that allow you to have the forward head posture. Plus you're on the back too. So we're reestablishing the lumbar curve, and we're also working the shoulders at the same time. We're going to go, and I've got the block back here. And what you can do in this position is you can squeeze those pillows with your ankles and feet. Let's go for 50 times, okay? Now you can take a break in between. We'll be here longer than a minute. If you can't handle the minute because you're too weak in the shoulders, which is fine because you'll get strong. That's usually not the issue. But if you feel like you can't hold it more than a minute, then don't, okay? You just want to do your best. Your best is why you're here. So you're going to go forward. You're going to put the shoulder right over the elbow and over the wrist like this. And then you're going to drop in, pull the shoulder blades together, and just squeeze that block. Now you also can do this by putting a strap around your ankles, and you can press. So we're working on hip stabilizers while we're in the proper S curve for the spine. And we're asking the shoulders to work. So this is a busy little exercise. So if you have to stop for a second and like, whoa, then just stop and then go back into position. Remember, shoulders over wrists. If the back is starting to overwork, then just come back a little bit and keep pressing. We're going to do a total of 50 of these presses. So we're working on our lumbar stabilizers. We're locking out those elbows. We've got our shoulders over our wrists. We've got our shoulder blades pulled together. We got our neck hanging, and that's a great stretch. If any of you guys have neck pain, this is a great exercise. And when you've got your 50, you can just come back out of that position and congratulate yourself. That is not an easy exercise. Sometimes, depending upon what your level is, we may leave you 3 minutes without any pillow. The pillow or the strap kind of helps you keep your mind off of what's really going on. It's a very difficult exercise. If you're someone who noticed that this really bothered your wrists, I think I'm going to start interjecting next week an exercise that's actually designed to stretch these forearms out. And I meant to do it today, and I forgot. And I wished I had brought it up sooner, because that will really help you with this. A lot of people, when they say they can't bend like this, they're just too tight. So now what we're going to do, the fun, easy part, we're going to go into static back. And you're going to need a chair, because you're going to put your legs up. And when you put your legs up, you want to make sure that you are at a 90-degree angle, and I'm about to demonstrate that. And we're going to need our block. And we're going to need our strap because we're going to do a superset. Now, superset is language. I've never made sense of that language. I had to learn it when I went to the Czech Institute. Paul gave us a different description than what somebody else did, and I just gave up and decided, okay, if they call it a superset, that's what I'll call it. We're going to do a bunch of exercises one after the other. So you're going to go into, this is static back, and you'll see, and this is very easy to get this wrong. You want the hips at a 90-degree angle. You can see here I'm at 90 for as much as my tail will let me. Let's say that you can't get at 90, then I would say just pull your knees forward, and you see that takes me in, and there's a quick test. Okay, I'm here, and then when I pull my knees to here, it's like I feel my low back go right to the floor. And that's where we want you. We want you to get that low back to the floor so that you can begin relaxing those muscles. Now I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 sets of each. And I'll tell you about how many we'll do in a minute. So what we're going to start with is single arm glides. We're going to go 1, press 2, 3, 2, press 2, 3. So we'll get a total of 5 done on the arm glides. You're going to press and 2, 3 like that. Now don't take your arms any further. Let me show you what it looks like wrong. Let's say, okay, I'm going to go up and all of a sudden I'm like this. That's wrong. You have to be down here. If you're here and you only move a ½ inch and then suddenly you notice you're coming up off the floor, then don't worry about it. Just do it at the ½ inch mark. What we care about is doing it right. The ability to increase function is going to happen one way or the other. I've had tremendous increase in function from doing single arm glides. I don't see it here in class. Where I see it is when I go to exercise. Okay, so we're going to do the arm glides. Then we're going to do pullovers, 10 of those. Then we're going to use our blocks or our pillow. You probably need 2 decorator pillows. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put my strap on, but I'm going to make it real big so I can just let it drop down here below the thigh so I don't have to worry about taking it on and off. Then I'm going to press. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to tighten this up, hip width apart. And I'm going to press there too. Now, let's say you don't have a strap. I would say you could double up on the pillows and presses, or you could just wait until we finish. But hopefully next time you will have some kind of a strap or a man's tie or a lady's tie, even a cotton, you know, if you have a robe, the tie for the robe, that'll work too. Something that's going to stop this area from moving when you put pressure against it. So we're going to get started now. Single arm glides, we're going to do a total of 5 on both sides. So that's a total of 10. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And remember, when I'm pressing my shoulder blade against the floor and I'm looking straight ahead. You can look at yourself if you need to see yourself on the camera. That's important to notice because you can see your form. But after that, eyes straight ahead because the eyes recruit the muscles. So 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 7, 2, 3, 8, 2, 3, 9, 2, 3, 10, 2, 3. We're going to do 10 pullovers, 1 like this. You guys may find, some of you who've been with me, gosh, it's been, you know, I've been doing this over a year, but some of you have been on board for about a year. And you may notice when we're doing this pullover today, maybe you're noticing that hey, I'm getting to the floor and I'm not having to push myself to do it. Well, pat yourself on the back, because one of the owners of the software that I use calls that graduation. And she said, when you can finally touch the floor, you get to graduate. And if you've been noticing since we've been doing this with the wall splits and these arm glides with the press and everything else, you may have observed by now, you're getting more range of motion in these shoulders. And I can't even begin to tell you how exciting it is for me, because for years I felt like my shoulder blades were paralyzed because I couldn't move them. They were stuck in a bad posture. Okay, great. Now we're going to get our pillows or block. Now, when you do this, we're going to do 30. You're going to go into hook line, palms facing the ceiling, and you're going to squeeze your knees and listen to see, is one side outworking the other. You might have to look. If you're someone who goes mostly by feel, then I would definitely take a look, because feel could allow you to think that what's right is not, it's wrong. Feel could make you feel balanced, and yet when you look at it, you realize, uh-oh, I'm not using my right side or whatever. So you're going to do 30 of these. Don't kill yourself. Just try to do good, even pressure. Sometimes you may feel in your low back. I've had people tell me that they can feel this, it makes their low back hurt. And I've had other people tell me that when they do this, it's the only thing that takes away the low back pain. So I think if it's hurting you, I would maybe back down a little bit and see if maybe it's just because you're finally moving something that's moving stuff in the back, and you're feeling maybe that pulling from the tight areas back there. So when you're done with that 30, you put your pillow next to you, close by, and go ahead and tighten your strap. The cueing is exactly the same. You want it hip width apart. And a lot of times people like to make this strap tighter because then you don't have to work as hard. You want hip width apart, and you would want the center of the hip, or the head of the femur even, in line with the knee. Now, if you want to know where the hip is, you're laying down, you've got a bone right here, anterior superior iliac spine. Then you have the symphysis bone right here, right above the middle of the groin, and you cut it in half. And there's your hip. So it's never as wide as we think. And you're going to push 30 times, just like you did the other side. When you're done with the 30, we're going to do our second set of what we did a minute ago. And we'll repeat this. You may notice maybe you feel more on one side than the other. You should be feeling this here, like in the hips and the glutes a little bit. You might feel some in the low back. Another thing I want you to take notice of are the shoulders and the back and the trunk. Is everything flat on the floor, or does it feel uneven? And I'll be quiet while you check for that. Where we want to be is everything flat on the floor. But sometimes our muscles are just really tight, and it takes them a minute or two to really begin to relax and trust that we're going to let them relax. And when you're done, like I said, you can just pull this down. It'd be a lot easier than having to take your legs in and out of here. And now we're going to start with the arm glides again. So we go into goal post position, palms facing the ceiling, fingers spread apart if you can. And you're going to go 1, press the shoulder blade in, 2, 3, back down, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And really notice when you do this, notice what's going on down there. Are you getting stronger? Is one side, maybe you have to work a little harder to get it to engage like the opposite side. So just really pay attention. You should be on number 7, 8, 2, 3, 9, 2, 3. Really pay attention now. Are these two sides working the same, working together? Is one feeling a lot different than the other? Are you able to push that shoulder blade into the floor? You feel it in other places. Okay, now clasp your hands together for pullovers. Remember when you do your pullovers, and I didn't say this before, and I know we have some new people in this class, you want to lock out those elbows. When you lock the elbows out like that, now on camera, it doesn't look like I'm locking them out, but they're locked out, believe me. And when I lock them out, all this in here, I can feel this area just gets really, you know, tight, and it's really working hard in my armpit. Well, what's right behind the armpit is the shoulder blade. You've got the rotator cuff and everything else in there. So lock it out and come back, and don't get discouraged if you don't get it to the floor. When you come back this way, you're going to feel your low back come up a little bit off the floor. And what that's going to do is you're going to feel that low back come up. And that's because when we're back here and we bring those arms up over our head, we go into that lumbar curve, that natural C curve. And that back comes up off the wall or off the floor a little bit. That's not a bad thing. That's nothing wrong with that. So we're going to do 10 of these. Keep those arms locked out. You do not have to touch the floor. All you have to do is do the movement and do it your best. Don't force it. Don't bounce it. Just let your body give it up when it's good and ready, and it'll let you know. And when we're done with that, then we're going to do this. We're going to put our, oops, not the strap. Sorry, guys. Now we're going to get our pillow. We're going to do 30 knee pillow squeezes. If you're one of those touchy-feely people, they're called kinesthetics. You might want to take a peek like that and make sure, because you could be feeling like, hey, I'm doing a great job. I'm just doing it. And then you look and see, oh my gosh, my right leg isn't working or my left leg isn't. So you're going to do this a total of 30 times, and you want both sides to work evenly. And like I said, you might have to take a peek and keep looking at those knees. And you could feel the work in the inner thigh. You could feel it down in the groin. You could feel it in the low back too. There's lots of places you might be feeling it. What I always tell you is if the pain starts increasing, then stop the exercise. I always check 3 times. I will go back to the pain 3 times, so to speak, to see if it dissipates. If it dissipates after about the 3rd, 4th one, then I know we're okay. If it stays the same and then it starts to move move up into a higher pain number, then we stop the exercise. And that doesn't mean you won't be able to do it. It just means you're not doing it today. Because there's been plenty of people I've seen that couldn't do something and then turned around, and a couple weeks later, it was like they never couldn't do it. They could always do it, and they could do it well. Okay, so remember, hip width apart. I taught you a little X-ray tech trick, and that's that symphysis, asis, cut it in half. That'll take you right to the head and neck of the femur, which fits into the pelvis there. It's like that ball and socket. So that's what we used to do when we'd shoot films. That's how I'd find that hip. So go ahead and push. Keep an eye, if you noticed when you did the knee pillow squeezes, that It felt wonderful, but then when you looked, you saw, no, this is not even, then my suggestion would be to check this too, because what can happen if you're really super strong on the outside of your left leg, you're going to be weak on the inside of it. I already know that. So that means that maybe your left adductor doesn't work as well. So that's why it's really important. Just because you see it happen with one position, but it's the same position, but different recruitment, check, because usually the opposite is working different. So I always peek and make sure. And I notice too, and notice, is your body flat? Is your shoulders, your trunk, your hips, your glutes, are they working properly? Are they even? Is your back on the floor flat? Or is there one part that's up? When you're done with your 30, we're going to stay in this position because now we're going to do some ab work. So what we're going to do now is abdominal crunches. We're going to do a total of 30. You can do 2 sets of 15. Or you could do all 30 at once. You're going to clasp your hands like so. Bring them back. Now, I want you to support your head and neck, especially if you're a person who has issues with neck pain or neck lack of rotation. You tend to get headaches, all of that. You want to support that head and neck down here. You're going to look behind you. So I always say, look at your eyebrows, and hopefully you can't see them. And you're going to look back here, pulling your shoulder blades together, keeping your elbows apart. And you'll see, I'm not going very far. See, I'm not getting off that floor very far like that, but I can feel a lot of work going on in this stomach. So here we go. You're going to do 2 sets of 15, total of 30. You're invited to do all 30 at once if you want, or you can take a break. Be sure and look behind you. That is the key to the correct muscle recruitment. When you look back, you recruit your transverse abdominis. When you look forward, you recruit your rectus abdominis. We want to recruit your transverse abdominis. That is your natural weight belt. And just keep going. Remember, keep the shoulder blades pulled together and the arms spread apart. When your arms come up like this, you're not recruiting the transverse abdominis, you're back recruiting the other muscle, which is rectus abdominis. Look behind you and just keep going. We're almost done. If you needed to take a break, no worries. Just do your best. When you're done with your 30, just relax. We're going to roll over and do some quick cats and dogs and call it a day. Don't forget to take your strap off. Don't want to have anybody trip and fall. And don't get up the way you saw me get up. You want to roll to the side when you come up off your back like that, especially if you're someone that's been dealing with low back issues. Cats and dogs, we go into tabletop position. And you want the hands underneath the shoulders. I like to lock out my elbows because that way my knees are fixed. If my elbows are fixed, then the only thing I have to worry about is moving that pelvis. And when I do that, you're going to pull, when you go into the dog position, you're going to pull your shoulder blades together, push your tail out, and like so. Now, when we do this, don't take your neck up to the point where it hurts. Some of us have some very challenged necks. And we don't want to cause extra stress. So you're going to roll up, pull that tail under, Now push the tail out, pull the blades together, pull the tail under. And this is really about moving the pelvis and increasing range of motion in the spine. And the spine is reacting to the stimulus that we're giving it with our pelvises. And when you're done, just go ahead and walk around. We're going to check our posture real quick. Okay, I turned off my microphone. There were probably people cheering, yay, she's not talking. So just walk around and give your body a chance to settle in. It takes it a minute sometimes to figure things out that we've changed it. Today was an easier workout, I think. We worked on rotation. No, we didn't squeeze our tail. So everybody's assignment is while you're doing dishes, you got to do 100 butt squeezes. Okay, ready? Let's check our posture. Okay, left foot, toes, ball of the foot, heel inside or outside. Where's that weight? Is it balanced? Has it changed since the beginning? Right side, toes, ball of the foot, heel inside or outside. Has anything changed? Remember to relax, relax your shoulders. Okay, I feel like I did some pretty good work. Now we're going to see, are you feeling heavier on one side or the other, meaning that you're putting more weight on one side? And you may notice your body still settling in. So you may still feel it changing as we're doing this. We want to make a decision at the end then. There we go. See, mine shifted again as we stayed in this position. I felt more of my weight shift to the right, which is not a bad thing because everything feels real balanced. So thank you very much today for class. I got to run. I hate cutting it off like this, but got a big schedule today. So I want to thank all of you. If you have any suggestions or any special things you would like to address in class, shoot me an email. I am very open. I love to hear feedback because it helps me provide you with something that's going to help you have a better day. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. And you take care. Bye.